Hi, I'm Cosmic Scale, the developer behind the PSBBN Definitive Patch. It's been a little over 2 months since the last update.
Kept you waiting, huh?
But we've been hard at work making some fundamental changes to how PSBBN works under the hood that brings a number of benefits. Plus, I've got something for all the users of third-party HDD adapters. If you're new here, I recommend you watch my previous video first, as it explains what PSBBN is and how to install it on your PlayStation 2 console. Stick around and I'll tell you everything that's new at PSBBN. PCM 720 has done it again, introducing the OSD Menu MBR. It's a homebrew replacement for Sony's original MBR program, and it's responsible for initializing the hardware, launching applications, and game disks. This program is executed every time you turn on your PS2 console and when you launch an application from PSBBN. OSD Menu MBR brings many advantages over the original implementation. It enabled the removal of the BBN Launcher application, previously responsible for launching PS1 games, PS2 games, and homebrew apps. This functionality is now handled directly by OSD Menu MBR, improving the time it takes to boot games and apps, now launching up to 6 seconds faster than before. It also eliminates the need for the PlayStation 2 basic bootloader, as it natively supports launching ELF files by holding a gamepad button at startup. This drastically reduces boot times when compared to PS2 BBL. PS2 Linux now boots directly by holding the circle button when powering on the console, instead of interrupting the PSBBN startup. The Launch Disk app has been removed. Now simply insert a physical PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 game disc to play. With all the features of the Launch Disk app and more, it skips the PlayStation 2 logo check, allowing Mechapone users to launch imports and master discs, has full Game ID support for both the RetroGem and Memcard Pro 2. And automatically adjusts the PlayStation driver's video mode so imported PS1 games play correctly. That's not the only thing that PCM 720 has brought to the table. Introducing HOSD Menu. HDD OSD has been a part of the PSBBN Definitive Patch for some time now. HDD OSD brings with it Browser 2.0, an enhanced version of the PlayStation 2's browser that adds hard drive support, letting you manage software, save data, and launch games and apps. HOSD Menu patches HDD OSD and adds additional features, including support for drives larger than 1TB, the ability to launch homebrew apps directly from the system menu. It can also launch SAS compatible applications from memory cards as well as the internal drive directly from the browser. It also supports the previously mentioned disk launching features, GSM, and more. The option to install HDD OSD has been removed from the Extras menu, and HOSD Menu is now installed by default. Partitioning has also changed. Originally, PSBBN was limited to 128GB of usable space. With APA GEL, that limit is now just over 2TB. This was achieved by reserving the first 128GB for the PlayStation's native APA partitions, and using the remaining space as an exFAT partition for PS2 games and apps. Previously, that 128GB was always reserved, even if less APA space was needed. Now, only the space actually used by the APA partitions is reserved, and the rest is automatically assigned to the exFAT partition. This reduces wasted space, allows for larger exFAT partitions, and supports drives as small as 32GB, down from the previous 200GB minimum, making even the official 40GB hard drive compatible. The scripts have also been updated to support ARM64 systems and have been fully tested on a Raspberry Pi running the latest version of Raspberry Pi OS. If you have a Raspberry Pi, this is perhaps the easiest way to install the PSBBN Definitive Patch. Let's head over to the PC and I'll show you how these features have been implemented into PSBBN. At the main menu, you will notice that option 1 now installs both PSBBN and HOSD Menu. This option requires you to have an official Sony network adapter. Option 3 installs HOSD Menu only. This option is for users who have third-party HDD adapters. First, let's select option 1 and see what's new. The latest version of the PSBBN Definitive Patch is 4.0. When the download completes, you'll be shown a summary of the release notes. Press any key to continue. Next, you'll be asked to partition the drive. Choose the size of your POPs partition for PS1 games. Choose the size of your music partition, and finally choose the size of the contents partition for movies and photos. Next, you'll be asked if you'd like to reserve some space for future use. If you plan to install PS2 Linux in the future, you'll need to reserve at least 3 GB. You'll be given a summary of all the partitions that will be created. As you can see, all remaining space is now allocated to the OPL partition. If you already have PSBBM version 2.10 or higher installed, you can update to version 4.0 by selecting option 2 from the menu. This will also install HOSD menu. After updating, to improve the startup time for games and apps, it's recommended that you rerun the game installer by selecting option 4 from the main menu. Next, I'll show you how to install HOSD menu only. This option has been added for users who have a third-party HDD adapter, so are unable to use PSBBN. Select option 3 to install HOSD menu. When partitioning the drive, you'll be asked to choose the size for your POPs partition. This is for the storage of PS1 games. All remaining space will be allocated to the OPL partition for the storage of PS2 games and homebrew apps. The updated game installer now requires PSBBM version 4.0 and above, or HOSD menu only, and introduces some new features. You can now place PS1 and PS2 games in the bin and queue format directly into the POPs and CD folders on your PC. They will then automatically be converted to VCD or ISO files and installed. The game installer now also adds shortcuts to OPL or NHDDL, WLaunch ELF and HOSD menu to the navigator menu in PSBBN, as well as shortcuts for all your installed apps to the system menu in HOSD menu. Now let's head back over to the PS2. If you installed both PSBBN and HOSD menu, powering on the console will launch you directly into PSBBN. When PS2 Linux is installed, just hold the circle button while turning on the console to boot directly into it. Holding the cross button will launch you into HOSD menu. If you installed HOSD menu only, powering on the console will launch you directly into HOSD menu. As you can see, your installed apps are now listed in the system menu. If you head over to the browser, you can see and launch all your games and apps from here. For games, the icons are downloaded from the HDD OSD icon database. SAS compliant apps also have their own unique icons. You can download SAS compliant apps from the all-new PlayStation 2 Homebrew Store. The Save Application System is a new standard for distributing homebrew applications for the PlayStation 2. All SAS compliant apps are packaged in a PSU file and include icons and metadata, making it the recommended way to install homebrew on PSBBN and HOSD menu. You can find the new store at ps2homebrewstore.com. Finally, the music installer also got an update. I've added support for multi-disc albums using the disc numbers from the file's metadata. And album artist metadata is now used for albums. While artist metadata is used for individual tracks. Unfortunately, it was recently discovered that the PSBBN can't read music files past the 3 GB point when installed with the music installer. If you've got experience modifying old Linux kernels and want to help fix this weird FAT32 read bug, please reach out, it would be greatly appreciated. That just about covers everything for this month. You can find the full release notes of this update on the GitHub page, along with an updated README. Special thanks to PCM720 for all his work on OSD menu MBR and HOSD menu, And a massive thank you to everyone who has supported this project over the past 2 months. If you appreciate the work I'm putting into the PSBBN Definitive patch and would like to support its continued development, you can contribute to my Ko-fi. You will find a link in the description and the pinned comment. If you want to keep up to date with the latest developments, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky or Ko-fi. As always, all links will be in the description. But for now, this is Cosmic Scale signing out.